from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. Tonight, hundreds of healthcare workers in Indiana now have their first dose of the COVID-19 Pfizer vaccine after even more shots were administered right here today at Riley Hospital. This is one of 7 vaccination clinics within the IU health system in central Indiana. This location opened on Friday, and those working have the process down to a science, with around 24 patients receiving their vaccine each hour. Patients are monitored for 15 minutes after their vaccine to ensure they don't have any adverse reactions. All vaccine clinics are also giving patients information on a program called V-Safe, a voluntary way to track your symptoms after you've been vaccinated.
There's also something we call V-Safe, which is a program that you can register for on your phone that tracks nationally any kind of reactions, which will be important for us as we try to make sure the public feels safe with this vaccine.
The Riley Hospital COVID-19 vaccination clinic is open 12 hours a day and 7 days a week. With the distribution of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine now underway, the U.S. has 2 vaccines in its arsenal to battle the coronavirus pandemic that has killed more than 317,000 Americans. Here's ABC's Zoreen Shaw with the details.
Distribution of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine began early this morning, just 2 days after receiving emergency use authorization from the FDA. Pharmaceutical distributor McKesson preparing the vaccine for shipment, packing it in freezers and loading it on trucks under the eyes of law enforcement. FedEx, headquartered just over the border in Memphis, picking up the precious cargo up in Mississippi. UPS picking it up in McKesson's faculty near Louisville. The CDC accepting today its advisory committee's 11-0 vote on Saturday to authorize Moderna's vaccine for people 18 and older.
We know it's 95% effective, as much as 100% effective at preventing severe disease. And this is the way we end the pandemic, by getting 70 or 80% of the American people vaccinated.
Moderna's rollout means the country now has 2 vaccines in its arsenal to fight the pandemic.
We are very confident that by June, anyone in America who wants to have a vaccine will have that opportunity to have a vaccine.
These vaccines coming not a moment too soon. According to an Internal Health and Human Services memo obtained by ABC News, right now, 32% of the nation's ICUs are at least 80% full, as more than 114,000 Americans battle COVID in the hospital. 1.5 million new infections reported in the past week. The U.S. averaging nearly 213,000 new COVID-19 cases every day. Healthcare workers began receiving Pfizer's vaccine last Monday. There have been reports of a small number of allergic reactions to that vaccine. The CDC is monitoring the reports and has issued guidance for anyone with a history of allergies, saying anyone who had a severe reaction to a COVID-19 vaccine should not get the second dose.
I think it's important for the public to understand that these still are very rare events.
On Saturday, the head of Operation Warp Speed, General Gus Perna, says the country is on track to ship 20 million doses of vaccine by the end of December. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Right now, we have everything you need to know about COVID-19 vaccines. We have information in a question and answer format, so it is easy to understand, plus several stories you will want to see as Indiana starts receiving the first doses of a COVID vaccine. And that is all on WRTV.com/coronavirus. Let's review the very latest COVID-19 numbers tonight from the State Health Department. Another 6,558 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the virus. 53 more Hoosiers have died, bringing the total number of deaths to 7,070. Since March, more than 464,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 5.2 million tests have been administered in Indiana.
For me to walk in a hospital and see my baby in a neck brace with blood pretty much from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet is a little overwhelming for any parent to see.
Tonight, the community is rallying behind an Indianapolis family after a crash landed 5 boys in the hospital just days before Christmas. The crash happened in Plainfield on US 40 last Wednesday. The boys were on their way to celebrate a birthday at Dave & Buster's when their family says they were rear-ended at a stoplight, pushed into oncoming traffic and hit by a semi. At least 2 were ejected from the car, including 15-year-old Jermaine, who was not wearing his seatbelt in the middle of the back seat. All 5, 4 of whom are brothers, range in age from 15 to 20 years old. They were rushed to the hospital and thankfully survived. After hearing about the crash, the principal at Edison School of Arts immediately wanted to know if her former student Jermaine was okay. She says he's now at Shortridge High School, but he's a student she will always remember for his bright smile and contagious energy. And knowing the impact the crash is now having on his family, with the mother staying at the hospital and the father out of work due to COVID, she started a GoFundMe page to help raise money.
And by me being off all this week, we only have a half an income coming in next week. So that's going to be very difficult to deal with. And I haven't even started none of my Christmas stuff. I was actually going to do it this weekend. I'm one of the late parent shoppers, but I haven't been able to do anything but focus on my boys.
I'm a parent as well and have boys of my own 4, and I just can't even begin to imagine being in their shoes and the stress of, COVID and, like she said, him not having work and then having to take off work and just wanting to provide Christmas for your children and your family. And so I just thought this was the least thing that we could do to try to help this amazing family out.
Well, Jermaine, who has the most severe injuries, had surgery on Friday and had 2 rods and screws placed in his neck to help repair torn ligaments. With a long road to recovery and the financial impact paying for hospital bills will have on the family, the principal at Edison is hoping to raise a total of $15,000. At last check tonight, more than $2,000 has been raised. We will put a link to the GoFundMe page on WRTV.com. Holiday celebrations may look different this year due to the pandemic, but law enforcement officers across the state want to make sure that you're still taking precautions on the road. As part of an effort to save lives and reduce fatalities on the roadways this holiday season, agencies across the state are increasing their patrols. Throughout the rest of the year, officers will be looking for impaired drivers and seatbelt violations. These overtime patrols are funded by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration through an Indiana Criminal Justice Institute grant.
As drivers, all of us, we have a responsibility to work together, follow the laws, buckle up, not drive impaired, make sound decisions, be safe this time of year, keep the roadways safe. So please, I just urge everybody to drive sober, buckle up, put your phone down. And not drive impaired or distracted, and again, use your seatbelt.
According to the administration, during the Christmas and New Year's Day holiday periods in 2018 alone, there were more drunk driving related fatalities at 285 than during any other holiday period that entire year in the U.S. Last December here in Indiana, there were 415 alcohol related crashes, resulting in 105 injuries and 11 fatalities. An update tonight to a story we first reported last night about a girl who'd been missing since Tuesday. Lawrence police now tell us they found 14-year-old Anila Kimbrough, and she is safe. That is all the information police are providing at this time. Now to your forecast tonight. Meteorologist Kyle Mounts joins me now. And Kyle, it was nice to see some sunshine today, but it was still pretty cold out there.
Yeah, we cleared out those clouds pretty nicely here this afternoon. And now that the sun is going down, those Christmas lights coming up there across the Indianapolis Zoo and across a lot of central Indiana for us this evening. Our temperatures, well, they're coming in at 35 already in Indy, so it has dropped off a little bit with those clear skies. 41 in Lafayette and 37 in Bloomington. We're nice and quiet now, but as we look back to the northwest, there is a clipper system that will arrive as we go into tomorrow. This evening is just going to be increasing those clouds a little bit later this evening with temperatures in the middle 30s. We'll talk about a big time temperature change for Christmas in a few minutes.
All right, Kyle, thank you. The IU football team learned its destination for a bowl game today. It was not nearly what the Hoosiers had hoped for after winning 6 of 7 games in the regular season. Brad Brown tells us where they are headed and the opponent that's in store.
It was by many measures one of the best seasons in IU football history. They went 6-1. Only loss was by a single score to Big Ten champ Ohio State. Indiana finished 7th in the final AP Top 25, but evidently it was not enough to make one of the big New Year's 6 bowl games. Indiana will play in the Outback Bowl on January 2nd. That game in Tampa, a homecoming of sorts for IU head coach Tom Allen. The Hoosiers will take on Ole Miss, a team that went just 4-5 in the SEC this season. At number 7, IU is the highest-ranked team ever to not make a New Year's 6 bowl. SEC runner-up Florida and Big 12 runner-up Iowa State got spots in the Cotton and Fiesta Bowls, despite being ranked behind Indiana. Ball State is also going to a bowl game. The Cardinals will face Mountain West champ San Jose State in the Arizona Bowl. That game is set for New Year's Eve out west. It's BSU's first bowl appearance since 2013. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
All right, Brad, thank you. A mother in trouble with the law. She did something most of us all have done before, but it's why she did it and who she did it to that could land her in jail. That story's coming up. Congressional lawmakers say they've cleared a major obstacle towards passing a $900 billion COVID relief package. This would be the first major piece of legislation in response to the pandemic since the $2 trillion CARE Act, which was passed in March. Here's ABC's Faith Abube with the details.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill closing in on a stimulus package just hours before a potential government shutdown.
These days and nights of negotiations have been encouraging, but our citizens need this waiting game to be over.
One hurdle, language proposed by Republican Senator Pat Toomey that would curtail the authority of the Federal Reserve. Toomey arguing 3 pandemic-related lending programs should end because they've achieved their purpose.
The purpose was to ensure that credit-worthy borrowers could access credit through the normal channels. They worked. They worked amazingly well, remarkably well. Within days, certainly weeks, markets were again functioning, credit was flowing.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer saying the proposed language was so broad, it would have tied the hands of the incoming Biden administration.
Last night, the logjam was broken. Senator Toomey accepted my compromise to remove the dangerous similar to language in his bill that was overly broad.
Hanging in the balance, relief for millions of Americans out of work. Ricardo Ramirez says he's barely getting by and is now at risk of possibly losing everything.
It's about time for them to do something for the community.
The roughly $900 billion relief package would include $300 in weekly federal unemployment benefits and $600 in direct payments for millions of Americans. President Trump calling on Congress to increase the amount of those stimulus checks, tweeting in all caps, "Get it done," and give them more money in direct payments. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Faith, thank you. A cough is sending a New Mexico woman to court and possibly to jail. It started at a medical center in Santa Fe. A woman named Joy Ebel came into the clinic with her 3-year-old daughter. While in the waiting area, Ebel did not have a mask on, and per the rule, she was asked multiple times to put one on but refused. After the 3rd time, a medical assistant went over and told her if she wasn't going to wear one, she could wait in her car instead. Then Ebel allegedly began yelling and screaming at the worker and coughed directly in her face. Now Ebel is charged with battery upon a healthcare worker.
Because it's a healthcare worker, because they're just trying to do their job, same penalty as if you had battered or attacked a police officer. The fact that the alleged victim was a healthcare worker, worked in a doctor's office, worked in a healthcare facility, that's what raises that offense to a felony level.
Well, if convicted, Ebel could go to state prison for 18 months or get fined up to $5,000. Let's check back in with Kyle now.
Yeah, Nicole, we were talking about the Christmas lights. Now let's check out those city lights. Beautiful view of the Indy skyline there from the IMS Pagoda. Our temperature right now, 35 degrees. Same for you in the Kokomo area while we're at 40 in Shelbyville. And tonight, I do think temperatures will level off. We start to get a little bit of a southwest wind going here and those clouds making a pretty quick return. 33 for the overnight temperature in the city, 32 in Richmond, and about 31 degrees for your Monday morning in Peru. Here's a look at TrueCast this evening with those mostly clear skies, but there come the clouds. So as we go overnight and into tomorrow morning, it's going to be another cloudy start to the day. we will have the chance for a few light rain showers. We're actually going to have a clipper type weather system, and a lot of times when we say clipper, that's associated with some light snow this time of year, but temperatures will be warm enough here. Just a few light rain showers. Much of the day on Monday, though, will be dry for us. Notice we may see a couple more sprinkles here as we go into our Monday evening, but otherwise temperatures, they are not going to be held back here. We will see those numbers climbing to 40 degrees at 11 a.m. and afternoon temperatures well into the 40s as we'll have a southwest breeze around 10 to 20 miles per hour. Some gusts throughout the day, though, of about 30 miles per hour. So that actually is going to provide us a wind chill, and these high temperatures will feel more like the 30s while you climb on the thermometer to about 50 degrees in Bloomington, 48 in Lafayette, and 47 in Indy. So mild temperatures here. They're going to be sticking around a couple of days, but look here back to the west. Cold air is waiting in the wings, and it will be coming in time for the Christmas holiday. Christmas Eve actually looks like we'll have a few snow showers here, maybe some light accumulations with that system. 33, the high temperature there on Thursday. I think temperatures may continue to fall into the afternoon, and Christmas Day, maybe a few flurries, and our high temperature just 24 degrees. So there is an Arctic front on the way, so the next few days, enjoy the mild surge ahead of it. High temperatures that will be in the 40s here Monday and Tuesday, 53 degrees by Wednesday afternoon. And that's going to come ahead of that weather system and that Arctic front that takes some rain showers and transitions them into some light snow showers going into Thursday. Again, shouldn't be a lot in the way of accumulation, and then a little chilly as we go into next weekend, but at least those temperatures are back in the 30s for highs.
All right, Kyle, thank you. The Colts needed another win today, and they got it. But once again, it took until the final minute before the game was decided. Brad's back with a look at a Week 15 that went down to the wire when the News at 6 continues.
A stellar opening quarter for the Colts that set the tone in Sunday's rematch against the Texans. The first drive for the offense went 81 yards in 10 plays, chewed up more than 5.5 minutes. Jonathan Taylor's touchdown run got the scoring started. The defense was doing its part as well after so many sluggish first halves this season. A couple of sacks in the first quarter. DeForest Buckner forced the ball loose on this one. Justin Houston recovered the turnover, the D giving Deshaun Watson all sorts of trouble early on.
Coaches worked with me really well. We had a good game plan coming in on how we're going to use me today. Third down, some key situations. Everybody was just really, the communication was, perfect, from player to coach to from top to bottom.
The Colts turned that turnover into points. Phillip Rivers found Zach Pascal for a big 26-yard gain to get the Colts into the red zone. Then it would be Rivers to Pascal for the touchdown. A quick 14-0 advantage for Indy.
Each rep, each day that builds, you build more and more comfort together, all of us. And that was obviously huge. That was obviously a huge play after getting backed up there. That was a big time drive. Everybody contributed.
The middle part of the game was a grind. Houston was able to chip away at that margin all along. By the middle of the fourth quarter, they had come back to tie it up. Watson to Kiki QT over the middle and into the end zone. With the kick, the game was tied at 20. Play of the day came with just over 2 minutes left. Rivers over the middle. T.Y. Hilton was wide open among 3 defenders. Biggest gain of the game, moved the ball to the 3-yard line.
There was a little communication with the backside safety of 50 early, kind of alerting 50, I guess, that T.Y. was the number 3 receiver. And I did feel like pre-snap they were going to 2. But when they started conversating, I was like, shoot, they're not going to let it happen. And but they did.
Pascal capped off his biggest game of the season. The toss out from Rivers, Pascal dives for the pylon, and he's in for the score. 5 catches for 79 yards in the game, but the stretch there put the Colts back in the lead.
Because of the penetration by the DN, I had to kind of bubble back and run like a swing. And he threw it to me. So, he threw it to me, and I knew it was just going to be one-on-one for the end zone, and I knew that we needed a touchdown.
Then see if this sounds familiar. The Colts defense had to make a play to secure the win. Watson to QT, looks headed to the goal line, but Darius Leonard comes from behind and punches the ball loose. Bobby Okereke eventually ends up on it in the end zone, and in a blink, the Colts pick up their 10th win of the season. No less thrilling than a couple weeks ago. One more point for the Colts this time in the 27-20 win.
Just letting you know that, we're going to fight to the finish. That's one thing, I told back when we got blew out against Tennessee. No matter what, we're going to fight to the finish and then just go back to practicing. Every last series in practice, we always talk about, finish practice. Then if you finish practice, you finish the game.
The playoff chase doesn't change much. All of the AFC contenders in 4 through 8 win on Sunday. The Colts, for now, move up to the 5 seed. The Browns will play the Giants later tonight. The Colts go to Pittsburgh next Sunday. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
All right, Nicole, enjoy those mild temperatures while you can. We got 50s by Wednesday.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tonight here at 11 o'clock. Have a great night.